Welcome to Visuals, Vanities, and Ventures. I'm Rick McCauley.
And I'm Ed Risk. We're going to show you a visual of our old ugly mugs today. Indulge in the vanity of telling you who we are and venture into this show by talking about what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about photography.
Yes.
Rick is actually a real photographer. I'm just a real estate guy. I like to take pictures, and I also like to subscribe to channels and pages that I watch on the internet because it helps those people move up in the algorithm hierarchy on the master control computer, which is all important for reasons that only the technical minded could possibly understand. So please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this show with your friends. Thank you.
Well, I'm supposed to talk about my history as a photographer. I knew I wanted to be a photographer in sixth grade, and everything in my life kind of kept pointing me in that direction. I still, to this day, have the first roll of film I ever took. And it was with the Kodak Instamatic 124 camera in sixth grade. And then I moved by high school, I was the yearbook photographer. By my junior year, I was the head photographer for the yearbook staff. In those days, it was film. We spent hours and hours in the dark room. And I remember one memorable summer when Jack Cardwell and myself spent a good 3 weeks in the dark room over the summer because the yearbook publishing company lost several pages of our yearbook, and we had to completely recreate them over the summer as students. We didn't have access to the school darkroom, so we used my home darkroom, which, because of my father's indulgence, I had a very nice home darkroom. I have to admit, Dad really did help me out there. And then, by the end of my high school career, I had moved into the newspaper world. I got to do a lot of interesting things with the newspaper. Actually, at one point, got to shake hands with President Gerald Ford and worked my way into the presidential photo corps at a time before credentials were checked as closely as they are now.
Yes, it was a much different, much different era.
Yeah. And then I drifted into the concert world. Had the privilege of photographing some pretty cool bands over the years and learned a very valuable lesson about making sure you read your contract on who owns the negatives when you do the job. Some rude awakenings there. And for reasons that aren't clear to me even yet today, I moved into kind of a vagabond era where I drifted from field to field, career to career, industry to industry. And I always had my camera, and along the way, I documented a lot of that. I took a lot of those pictures, and they're great montages of a life lived quite chaotically.
I can see that. I had a film camera, a few of them, and did too much with it. 2009, after the '08 crash, to save money, I started doing my own real estate photography. Well, it was so much more enjoyable with digital that I took it up as a hobby, and I've done some artistic shots, and I've done some events and some portraits, and a few promotional shots. Nothing like what this guy's done. It's really fascinated me.
It's amazing where my camera has taken me, and it's allowed me to see inside such a vast variety of culture and human activity that, like I said, there's some cool stories that come from this. And again, because I'm a Texan, I'm going to caveat most of them are true. But if the story's better enhanced, well, it gets enhanced. Not all of them, but anyway, I segued into I got married, started a family, and suddenly found myself in portrait photography. I had been news, photojournalism, concert, spot news, magazine stuff for years. And then suddenly I found myself in portraits and weddings. And I had done a few weddings prior, but suddenly I'm doing 2 a weekend in the peak season, managing a studio that's been in existence since the 1930s.
How many weddings did you say you've done?
depending on how the count goes, whether I count the ones that I supervised and may not have shot all of it myself, it's anywhere from 1,000 to 12.
That's a lot of weddings.
And yeah, it's well, during that time, I also supervised shooting yearbooks for 3 colleges in the Midwest, and that's where you have to coordinate being able to photograph 20,000 people over 45 days in 60 different locations. So yeah, I picked up skills in logistics by necessity. But then I moved into the studio era. Wife and I at the time, my wife at the time and I took over a family studio that had been in her family since 1939, and we built it up, kind of rebuilt it. It had been big once; it had fallen into a bit of a decline. Basically, rebuilt it and enjoyed the heck out of it. I got a chance to do all sorts of photography, and it's where the Beauty on the Beach thing started.
I remember that.
Going to South by Southwest.
Yeah. I remember you calling to complain about that. It's so hard. I'm having to photograph models from different schools in bikinis all day long. Rick, I'm so sorry.
I know it's hard to feel sorry for me, but it was not nearly
we feel your pain.
much as I enjoyed it. It was not nearly as glamorous as the story seems to imply. But now, you know,
If you do something enough, it becomes work.
all right, the studio's gone. I've moved on. I took a break to do some things in disaster management, in logistics for technology recycling. And then I came back out and said, no, I'm going back to photography. And I ended up in real estate, commercial stuff, event things like that. Not interested in doing weddings anymore. And just so that's my story. Ed, you got into photography in an unusual way.
Yeah. Well, it was I couldn't afford to have pictures taken, so after the so I bought a camera and figured out how to make my existing word processing program do a page layout and did my own brochure. I enjoyed doing it. And I started doing it for fun. And I started doing it. I actually got paid by other brokers to take their real estate pictures and, ventured into a little bit of photography. I never made a living at photography, but it was a semi-professional. Mostly it's a lot of fun. And I've enjoyed taking artistic pictures that, cityscapes, scapes, whatever. Anyway, so
Um,
what,
look, we're here to create this podcast. We're here to create and have fun with you about the creative process. And we use photography. That is the means with which we exercise that creative process mostly. And we will tell you a few stories about our experiences, about other experiences that we have heard about. We want to inspire you to create using your camera, whether it's a cell phone, modern digital camera system, or an old film camera that you still enjoy puttering around with. Um, and I'd really like to hear about those, by the way. I'd really like to. Ed says it's old and complicated, but there's a certain craftsman quality to it.
I mean, Rick, why don't you just find a cave and some berries and, just smear berry juice onto the side of the cave and make a picture that way. I think that's
Got it.
anyway.
Whatever you use, wherever you are, you can find art if you know how to see. It's all about the eye and your vision. It's really that simple. I know that sounds complicated, but it's really that simple.
No, the camera is a beautiful tool. And the nice thing about it is if you can't paint, if you can't draw a straight line, you can create art with the camera. You can look at things differently than the way other people do and see a unique image.
Yeah, it's training yourself to see differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The eye.
Yeah. And that was what I get nicknamed on some of my shoots in Kenya was the eye.
Whatever you use, wherever you are, you can find something to shoot. If you want to see more of our visuals, venture to our vanity website, ourimaging.com, where we venture into the wide, wild world of web marketing and fine art photography.
Thanks again for joining us for our launch of Visuals, Vanities, and Ventures. You can see some of our work at rimaging.com, RMAGING.com, and email us with any questions, comments, or show ideas at podcastvvv at rmaging.com.
And we would also like to see some of your images via email. If we use one on the show, we'll give you credit and we'll plug your website, social media, online store, YouTube channel, podcast, or even a bricks and mortar business, whatever you want.
Thanks again. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Adios.
Bye for now.